Hello, welcome to another US Geoguessr Professor video. I am going to take you through some education, some analysis, and give you some strategies, some hints, some tips to improve your US Geoguessr game. I am a US geography expert. I am a Geoguessr enthusiast. I play almost exclusively in the United States. And today I'm getting a little bit brave. We're going to be playing the official United States map on Geoguessr. So this could include some urban, some suburban, some of those dreaded US rural rounds, maybe some blurry, maybe some photospheres, some trekkers, we don't know. All we know is we're going to be in the United States. I'm going to be playing 10-minute rounds so that I can take you through my thought processes as we play. And I'm going to start out no moving, but most of the time in America, especially on that map, it gets a little bit too difficult. So we'll probably end up moving so that we can pinpoint exactly where in this great country we are. Seed number 1. First thing we notice, look at these large-ish mountains off to the west. It seems like, I'm sorry, they're off to the east. We're facing south, so yeah, they're off to the east. These mountains seem pretty high compared to where we are. They're pretty dramatic. Looks like the very top of those mountains is pretty snow-covered. So high mountains to the east. That is going to be a lot of the time very indicative of Utah and the Salt Lake City area. If we look here at our straight signs, those are going to support the idea that that is pretty likely where we are. Notice here we are at 700 east and 9600 south as we're looking north. Those kind of numbered directional grid systems, very common in the Salt Lake City area. So I would expect almost immediately we are going to be somewhere from Ogden, perhaps all the way down into maybe even as far south as like Spanish Fork or Payson, Utah. Notice how the Salt Lake City metro area just kind of stretches across this valley. And most of the time, you're going to be able to see those pretty dramatic mountains to the east. We also get some mountains, however, to the south. And that would support the idea that perhaps we are south of Provo, even. So I would say that we are likely in the southern part of that range. If we were up into Salt Lake City, if we were farther north, we really wouldn't see those high mountains again to the south. So I feel like that's interesting. 9600 south. Do we get anything in the way of plates? We have some pretty blurry plates. We also have what looks to be pretty distinct lack of front plates. That is interesting. Here we have a car with a front plate, and to me, that one looks like a Utah license plate. You see the kind of blue top, and then I believe it's like these natural stone arches here at the bottom, but it's kind of like the blue and brown design. Very reminiscent of a Utah plate, even through the blur. I think we can even spot straight ahead there in the parking lot an unblurred version of that same plate off in the distance. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident this is Utah. We also have an 801 area code, which I am, again, thinking that that's Salt Lake City metro area. The foliage definitely supports that. We also have some mountains in the southwest. Would that make sense? Flat Top Mountain. Yeah, looks like that would make sense. Now, as I'm looking at the map, we could certainly be somewhere like in Sandy, maybe even slightly closer to the city. Sandy, I think, is what that street sign says. So now I think that that inclination was correct. I think it is almost assured that we are in Sandy, Utah. Look at the really lack of front plates on a lot of these cars, though. It's interesting. We may be getting some Arizona, some New Mexico cars. That gives me a little bit of pause, but with the mountains, the way they're off to the east and to the south, the grid system, the fact that I'm pretty sure that says Sandy on that plane, on that street sign. I have not moved yet, so I feel like I've collected enough clues. I really do. Very confident we're in Sandy, Utah at 700 East. And when I zoom in on Sandy, you can see this distinct grid system. East 9800 South, 1300 East. So 700 East would be here. 10600 South. We are at 700 East and just south of 9600 South. Calnetti Drive. We're going to have to go a little bit farther north. 700 East, 9670. Are we here? Jack and Jill Daycare and Preschool. 9590 South. Let's align to the south. Yeah, we are right in front of Jack and Jill. Little bit to the north of that. See, that says 9590. You can see how granular those street signs get. We're at 9630. No outlets. Okay, so that would have to be right there, right? Would that be a no outlet? At any rate, it looks like we're right in front of Jack and Jill's. Yeah. So that grid system can get confusing. But we were in Sandy, Utah, southeast of Salt Lake City. The mountains really gave it away, and that distinctive grid system gave it away. So 5K, no moving on the first round on the regular US map. That is a great start. I'll take it. Good. We are urban, or at least we have some touchstone clues here dropped into this intersection. Wickersham, your sheriff. Sabatini for county commissioner. My eyes are immediately drawn to that barn, that red barn there. The cornfields. Feels very American, does it not? Garfield and 22 Mile Road. Interesting. Zooming in on the car in front of us. That almost to me looks like it's a greenish plate. Not sure about that one. Looking farther ahead to that red car, no front plate. So with a no front plate, where could we be? Looking at this, pretty nondescript. Just looks kind of white, maybe blue lettering. Maybe green, although I don't think so. Manthes. Looks like some sort of greenhouse. Okay, initial impressions. We are flat, we are green, even though it looks like it's going into the fall. This just looks so middle American. Does it not? We have these low ranch brick houses. I'm not entirely sure about that plate. We have one car that doesn't have a front plate. I'm not going to move yet because I feel like I may have a decent guess as to where we are just off of this first scene and this first drop. Old kind of farmhouse looking structures, pretty mature trees everywhere, some coniferous trees, although we are largely deciduous. To me, I always look at that ratio. It looks to me like we're really, the vast majority of these trees are deciduous in nature. Although we have a few mixed in. We have a interesting, I don't know if that's the Google car or it looks like that's the car in front of us. Dodge Intrepid. Can't read anything off of that, unfortunately. I think biggest clue I'm latching onto is this 22-mile road. 22-mile road really makes me think of Michigan, and it makes me think of particularly southeast Michigan. And in looking around, the architecture is very Michigan. The fact that we are very flat and very agricultural. Everything about this says Michigan to me. And the 22-mile road is a clue. So typically this kind of grid system will radiate out from central Detroit into Wayne County and I believe into Oakland and possibly even Macomb County in southeastern Michigan. And so if we were on 22-mile road in Michigan, let's see if that would make sense. Okay, here we have 19 miles, so that would put us in Troy, Michigan. At 22, we would be pretty far north of Detroit. We would be up here in maybe Rochester Hills area, Auburn. One concern I have is that 19-mile looks to be our last mile road. No, it doesn't. There's 21 mile. There's 22 mile. Okay, and there's 22 mile in Garfield. So could we be in Waldenburg, Michigan? Am I going to get a 10K? No moving. I would be really impressed, especially on just the generic US map. Again, I think everything makes sense. We found 22 mile and Garfield in southeastern Michigan, 22 miles exactly north of Detroit. That would put us in Waldenburg, Michigan, a place that I have not heard of. So here we are at 22-mile road in Garfield. Now, concerning to me is that it looks like Garfield goes through there. So, to the north. So Garfield is a north-south road. 22-mile is an east-west road, of course. I do have 4 minutes left, so everything about this is telling me Michigan, and I am not going to move. I think that we have enough to where we can make a very, very educated guess here in Waldenburg, Michigan. But of course, the U.S. is tricky. Could this be somewhere else? Is the 22-mile road tricking me? I don't think so, because I found the intersection. Everything lines up. I'm going to move in on that plonk even and see. Yeah, the houses even seem to line up. There's a small house there. There's just farmland there. Could that be that big garden center that we're seeing? Manthys. What is Manthys? It also looks like there is some kind of bike path or something as I'm looking north there, going across a small stream or a small tributary. Looks like this is probably the garden center. Man thieves, are you not on the map there? If we're not in Michigan, I can't really think about where else we would be. Wickersham, your sheriff. It would be nice if we could get an area code off that sign. What area code would we expect? I don't think we would be in 313 anymore. Be pretty far north of Detroit for that, but could be a 313 area code. To me, everything about this tells me Michigan, including the lack of front plates on that car there, the terrain, the generally flat, pretty green landscape, the agricultural nature. Everything about this, I think, tells me out of Detroit. Yeah, 5,000. Okay, so it's a little bit far away. Okay, yeah, not really, though. 22 Mile was just slightly divided there. Okay, 10K, wow. No moving. I don't think I am going to have that luxury here, unfortunately. We're in, is this a Walmart? We're getting some all-American rounds here, that's for sure. Is this the side of a Walmart? It looks to be the side of, at any rate, a big box store. It seems sunny. A lot of these people, it looks like, could be African American. So demographically, that certainly could be a hint. Geography, human geography, is part of narrowing down where you are. Sadly, many parts of the United States, especially in big cities, are fairly racially segregated. I'm sorry to say, but sometimes demographic makeup could be a clue. So it almost looks like that we're not at a store, but rather maybe at some kind of high school or possibly even college campus. How old do most of these people look? They certainly look college-aged, possibly high school. This woman here, it's hard telling, but she might be a bit older. Difficult. Good thing we have a lot of cars here. Zooming in, I have what looks to me to be a Pennsylvania plate, but I am not 100% sure about that. Then when I look off in the distance at that car, there's again a blue stripe at the top of that plate. That recalls perhaps a West Virginia plate. And notice that these two cars in front of us, no front plates. Over here, Pennsylvania. That really looks Pennsylvania to me. So a West Virginia plate would make sense. Look, we kind of have these rolling hills. Everything about this looks Western Pennsylvania, perhaps, but where could we be? School buses. We have the red and white and the blue and white colors. Looks like it is my job to region guess Pennsylvania a little bit, because I feel like those are the predominant plates. I think I'm going to move here. I think Pennsylvania is a big state. We could be just about anywhere. Let's move. So we're going to take one step this way, and we get into maybe some of this nice blurry coverage. The scene has changed. Looks a lot different. South entrance. Those umbrellas have disappeared. This building looks much more aged. CCC. CCTC? CCTC. Boyce campus. South entrance. What is that county outline there? Boyce campus, CCTC. Okay, so looks like we're in Pennsylvania for sure. Is there any way we can get Community College, Allegheny County? Okay, that's helpful. Allegheny County is going to be where Pittsburgh is. And if that was indeed a West Virginia plate, that would make sense. These green hills, that would make sense. The general dirtiness, I'm sorry, and just kind of aged looking buildings certainly could be Pittsburgh. 412 area code, also Pittsburgh. So we are not even out of the parking lot of this place here, this little community college, it looks like. And if we are indeed in Allegheny County, which it really looks like we are, where would this Boyce campus be? And CC, is that an A? Yes. Man, didn't look like an A. Community College of Allegheny. Excuse me. Allegheny County. Somewhere in Pittsburgh. Allegheny County is, I think, pretty big. And I am not aware of where Boyce is. If Boyce is indeed some sort of suburb or neighborhood. Boyce Campus, 595 Beatty Road. So we have a county. That narrows us down a lot. I could have sworn, yep, I saw a 222 sign. I believe 22 runs generally east-west, because remember, that is an even-numbered U.S. highway. 222. So 22 would run east-west, and I want to say 22 comes in northwest of Pittsburgh. Yeah, because 22 there goes through Weirton, West Virginia. Would that explain the West Virginia plates? It definitely would. Could be somewhere here coming in through Robinson. Would this be Allegheny County? Boyce. Where would Boyce be? 60. Where does 22 come in to Pittsburgh? And where does it leave Pittsburgh is my question. Pittsburgh geography is so confusing. Where's the 22? There's 22 going through Imperial, kind of west of Pittsburgh. CCAC West Hills Center? We're getting close. We're not in West Hills Center. We're at Boyce Campus. Where's 22? Does 22 follow 376 into downtown Pittsburgh? I feel like it might. 22. So we found 22. We know that 22 goes east-west. A lot of these roads are unfortunately going to come together. Yeah, there's CCAC West Hills Center. Certainly seems like we're at somewhere with hills. There's Cooper, Beatty Road. All of this could be almost anywhere, really, in the Pittsburgh area. Forbes Road, Career and Technology Center. Forbes Road. That is a pretty common name around the Pittsburgh area. There is a Forbes Avenue coming off of this way, going east. I think that might indicate that we could be east of Pittsburgh. There's 22 coming off to the east. Unfortunately, we only have a minute left. Could we be east of Pittsburgh? Certainly, because it looks like 22 merges with, is it 376? Yeah, it looks like 22 merges with 376 going towards and through Pittsburgh. Okay, I don't know where Boyce is, but I think I am going to be leaning a little bit more towards west of Pittsburgh. Somewhere around here, where it gets a little bit hillier. I feel like if that was indeed a West Virginia plate I saw, it would really lend itself more towards that. Okay, there was Boyce Park. That was more east side Pittsburgh. Yeah, I didn't get very many clues. I just knew we were at 22, knew we were somewhere in Allegheny County. I was out here by Monroeville Mall. I just didn't see Boyce Park. There's CCAC Boyce Campus, yeah. I just picked wrong. I picked just the wrong side of Pittsburgh. Latitude was, of course, since we were off of Highway 22, nearly ideal. I don't feel too bad about that. I had to move. I at least got the county right. Got a lot of clues. Got a lot of Pittsburgh clues. Maybe I'll know where Boyce is next time. Where's our 4th seed? Wow, we're really getting some urban rounds here. This is what I like. Kind of have to remind myself that we're not playing any sort of urban U.S. map. This is, as you can attest, viewer, just regular United States map. Maybe I'm getting lucky. Okay. We are at West San Francisco Street and Camino del Campo. Okay. Well, I can very safely say that we're not where we were before in Pittsburgh. Nothing about this is Pittsburghian. First thing I notice is this architecture. This architecture is so distinctive. It's this brown mission. I would probably call it like a Pueblo style architecture. It's low. It's low to the ground. We see these rows of lights. What looks to be on top of some of the buildings, and then what maybe gets replicated and could be street lights. Then, am I seeing a very tall mountain through the mist there? Those could possibly be clouds, but that looks mountainous to me. That looks real mountainous. I gotta say, this architecture is very distinctive. And my first instinct is that we almost have to be in somewhere in northern New Mexico. I would, given that we seem to be in a pretty urban area and on an urban grid system, my first inclination would be Santa Fe, given this architecture, the capital city of New Mexico. You can see me zooming in here. We have 2 yellow plates with a green plate sandwiched in the middle. That is very New Mexico as well. Yellow plates like that we find in Alaska, in New Mexico, in New York. But this New Mexico yellow is, even through the blur, a little bit brighter, I would say. I believe that says Santa Fe. City of Santa Fe on that waste bin. Just a little bit difficult to make out. It looks like it is 2 words, and it looks like city of Santa Fe. It looks like it's like a 5-letter word and then maybe a 2-letter word would definitely fit. This turquoise color is so reminiscent of New Mexico as well. Turquoise, New Mexico tend to go hand in hand, and we'll see that color a lot all across the state. Pretty confident we're in Santa Fe. I want to zoom in on that sign. Campo Alegria. Camino del Campo. Okay. I think that I am gonna stay put. I feel like we have New Mexico plates. We have very prototypical New Mexico architecture, especially Santa Fe architecture. Could we be somewhere else like Taos, New Mexico? Or like Angel Fire, Las Vegas? I think so, yeah. But given the fact that we have high mountains to the east, east-southeast, I'm even more convinced that we're looking at mountains there, although that's such a big cloud, it's difficult to see. But looks like pretty high mountains off to the east-southeast. So all of this is pointing me towards Santa Fe. We are, again, at the corner of West San Francisco Street and Camino del Campo. This architecture reminds me of central Santa Fe, but I'm not sure if that's a very good line of thinking, because I'm thinking that Santa Fe, the entire city, has pretty strict zoning laws where all of the architecture in the city has to look like this. I'm not seeing West San Francisco Street. Also not seeing Camino del Campo. I'm seeing some other streets that start with Camino. West San Francisco Street. That would lead me to believe that if we are indeed in Santa Fe, West Alameda Street, West San Francisco Street, here we go. So I just had to zoom in a little bit. Candelario Street, Camino del Campo, and West San Francisco. Okay, so again, I think we're going to 5K no moving. Man, if only I was... it's a little bit better at region guessing Pittsburgh there. Man, well, I'm not going to belabor it, but we're here at San Francisco and Camino del Campo. I think I've explained my thinking enough, and we found it. Where is our fifth round going to take us? I was going to say we're really due for a rural round, and it looks like we have a little bit of a rural round here, but it also looks like we have another pretty easy round. Zooming in here, we have Nebraska County highway signs. Those are going to be very helpful. You see this kind of stagecoach design here. This kind of trapezoidal, I guess you would call it, shape. We're at a Chester's. Chester's Fried Chicken, I guess. Ray Valley Market. Looks like, for all the world, we're in Petersburg, Nebraska. So without those county highway signs, I got real lucky, no moving, to get those. What else would lead us to Nebraska? Well, let's take a look at the scene right here. Certainly this could be anywhere in that kind of like Great Plains column of states in the middle, Oklahoma, north into maybe even North Dakota. But those silos and this farm equipment, you see so many of those silos in this kind of rectangle here. Nebraska, Kansas, just everything about that kind of metal silo and this big elevated farm equipment. I don't know if that's a thresher or harvester or what. I'm not a farmer. I would feel very uncomfortable if I was actually on foot here, but it's just everything about this just really yells Nebraska, right? Where could we be in Nebraska? Let's do a little bit of region guessing Nebraska. Looking this way towards the west, we get a little bit of a rolling hill here. It's not totally flat. Nebraska can get some hills. We also get a clue that we're in the Ray Valley. I guess that's the Ray River, maybe? Really don't know the Ray River. 14 and 32, we know. We know Petersburg, Nebraska. See, it's looking flatter to the east, and it's looking a little bit more rolling to the west. In Nebraska, we get some of these rolling type of hills. I believe closer to the Missouri River and probably closer to the Platte River. That would put us like south of Omaha or maybe north of Omaha along the river. I feel like there are some hills like out that direction. I also feel like there are some hills near western Nebraska. My Nebraska region guessing is not super great, so I'm really going to rely on these county signs. Now 14 goes northwest, which would line up with this. 14 here runs from Niobrara, it looks like on the Missouri, north-south down here. There's Petersburg, okay, and there's 32. So we were not all that far away from Omaha and Lincoln, but yeah, it gets like a little bit of terrain here, if you will, at Petersburg. So there's the Ray Valley Market. We're just right there in that intersection, are we not? Gotta be. Leona and Front, aka 14 and 32. Petersburg, Nebraska. Wow, lots and lots of clues helped us there. If we were like 10 miles to the west, or, 10 miles to the north, like in between some of these towns, wow, we would have no idea where we were, no moving, right? But I am feeling confident we're in Petersburg. Nice. 6 yards away, so wow, I got pretty close to a 5K, no moving. I got 4 5Ks. We were able to pinpoint those, and it was only Pittsburgh. Wow. Pittsburgh. How far away was I? 23 miles. Wow, that's hurtful. Pittsburgh was tough. Maybe I should have been moving more. Maybe I could have figured out exactly where we were more. Figured we had to be either east or west of the city, but I just picked wrongs. But that's really not bad. I mean, I feel like even that guess is a dual ender most of the time if you're in America. I mean, if you can region guess the US or especially Pennsylvania down to that level, you are going to be doing really well. So I hope that you got some good hints, tips, strategies, and clues for region guessing the US. Thank you for watching.